somebody say something.
Is it, are we on now for sound?
We're good on the sound. How's that?
I'll have to check.
Check with your technician, let us know. I'm going to need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved, Garf.
Hannah.
Did you get that? Who that was?
Sharf and Hannah.
That's what I thought, but
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried.
Mayor, we do have sound now.
Great, thank you. Public comment. This is not where we have, you don't have anybody on public comment, did you?
No, I have some people that want to make comment, but not under public comment. They will be under the public hearings.
Okay. Hearing none, we will go on to approving, I need a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following. Minutes of the December 28th, 2020 regular meeting. River's Edge Sports and Fitness Class B beer, including wine coolers. Class B native wine permit, outdoor service, and Sunday sales liquor license, February 3rd, 2021 through February 2nd, 2022. Baseball softball complex, Class B beer, including wine coolers, and Sunday sales liquor license, March 20th, 2021 through November 19th, 2021.
So moved, Garf.
Second, Callahan.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to approve claims for payment.
I had one question about that.
Wait, did I had heard a motion, did I hear a second?
I thought Callahan seconded. Was that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I do have a motion and a second. What is your question, Deb?
The Buchanan County audit under Police Department at $62,106, what was that? Is that our city audit?
that's for dispatching services.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions about the claims? I do have a motion and a second to approve them for payment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Motion is carried. Next, on a petition from the public is Pathways has a presentation.
I had one other question about that,
Yes,
the
Deb?
meters.
What?
About the meters for the water department at 100,000. Was that just buying the meters or was that having to put in too?
That's purchase of meters. We haven't paid
Not
any,
having to install.
we haven't paid for any of the installations. Installation started last Monday, so we would not have paid anything at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Moving forward to petitions from the public is Pathways presentation. Are they on, since I don't have that screen?
Nora, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hi. And I guess I should, so you can put a face to a name. This is me. But I have a face for radio, so I'd rather just stop the video there for a moment. Some of you know me. My name is Nora Kursevich. I work at Pathways Behavioral Services. If it's okay with you, Mayor, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. As you can see, I had requested I have requested out the city manager if I could present to you today on a couple of projects that we are working on as part of our prevention department. You play an important role for the following. So the prevention department works with grants through the Iowa Department of Public Health. The funding that we receive via them is called Integrated Provider Network, or IPN. And we have a number of goals and requirements. And within those goals, we have the prevention of underage drinking. As you know, underage drinking continues to be a problem across the nation, and the same for Buchanan County. And I included some notes for you that I requested Al to send to you. Do you guys have in front of you so that you can access them? So the information that I'm sharing with you today, you will have that. You are available to print that information as well. So the point of preventing underage drinking is to make alcohol less available and less attractive and less acceptable among youth. And these are the numbers for Buchanan County, which I included in those documents that I sent. So based on the Iowa Youth Survey of 2018, which is done every 2 years, as you can see, when they are 6, 8, and 11 graders are asked about their consumption of alcohol, at least one drink in the past 30 days, 24% of 11 graders actually responded that they did have, in fact, one drink of alcohol in the past 30 days. But if you go to the 6th graders, 2% of them, which is, these are 6th graders. We're talking about 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, and 8th graders. So there is a presence of alcohol use among our youth, and the Iowa Youth Survey reflects this as well. If you also see the documents that I sent to you, you can, which includes the same information I'm presenting right here. Based on the Iowa Youth Survey, when they asked them about, whether or not they have driven a vehicle in the past 30 days, 10% of 11 graders actually said that they have driven a vehicle in the past 30 days under the influence of alcohol and drugs. So that is a problem. It's a problem that can be addressed. It needs to be addressed by the community at large. So the requirement from the grant that I work under is that I present this information to you. It's not necessarily that you take action on it. It's just that I present this information to you on what we are working on and the information or the data that we have. Now, when we look at where the alcohol is coming from, according to the Iowa Youth Survey of 2018, 1% of 11 graders, they say they bought it. And that's a considerable amount if you think about it. 5% of 11 graders gave someone money to buy it. 9% actually got it from a parent or a guardian. 10% of them got it at a party. 5% of them got it from a friend who happens to be underage. And 8% of them got it from a friend who happens to be 21 and over. So this information is important to us because it tells us that youth has a low perception of harm when it comes to alcohol, and they continue to have access to it in different forms and by different sectors of the community, as you can see. So by peers, by parents or guardians, by people that they know, they happen to be older than them or even the same age. Now, some of the factors that play a role in underage drinking, and that's the same for Buchanan County, and that's pretty much across the country, have been identified. Retail access, so how close the zoning locations are by schools or parks. Social access, whether it's non-commercial or if adults happen to be providing alcohol, or social hosting when there is a gathering of teens or youth and adults, not necessarily that they make the alcohol available or provide the alcohol, but they don't do anything to stop it. Community norms that favor, towards using alcohol, and lack of enforcement, oftentimes, especially when teens that are involved in, in sports, etc., they may get a lesser consequence compared to other teens perhaps. So I'm just setting that as an example, not as with something that has happened in the community. I'm just setting that as an example. Public event policies that do not have comprehensive rules or consequences have to play a major role. So if you think about Buchanan County, and specifically Independence, has a great history of having a number of events, and many of those events happen to involve alcohol. So one way to prevent the underage drinking, and I have talked to several agencies about this, is actually to make your policies when it comes to the consumption of alcohol or when you are providing a license, like the ones that I just recall you mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, that you make it more clear to those who are actually getting that license that the commitment that comes with it about preventing alcohol use by people underage. So that includes fairs, festivals, parades, just so that we can make our community safe and we can deter underage people from using alcohol. So one of the ways that that can be achieved, and I'm sorry if I've been moving this back and forth, I told Al that I wouldn't take very, very long. Not take more than 10 minutes. So the best practices that you have in the document that I sent has a longer list. However, the ones that I want to highlight during this presentation is one of the best practices is offering a brief beverage server training. As you know, when you happen to have an establishment, a retailer, or a place where they sell alcohol as part of their business, they have to go through some training so that they can identify those who happen not to be the legal age, and also identify those who may be already under the influence and they should not be receiving more alcohol. So having a brief or a mini version of that training to whenever you provide a license for a public event, even if it is an sporadic once-a-year event, can make a significant difference because it increases awareness to those either committees or organizers about the commitment that they are taking on. Another part of or another practice would be to have maybe a mini handout or a mini toolkit where you can actually specify, when you are getting this license from us, we're granting this to you. Yes, there's a cost associated with it, but there's a document that goes with it that gives you all the information that you are getting into basically, and how the best way to manage alcohol for all the vendors when they are getting that license. So these are some of the best practices that have been identified that, environmentally speaking, can make a significant difference for underage drinking. I speak very fast, and I don't know if I'm beyond my 10 minutes, so any questions so far?
Not hearing any.
No? Okay. I have talked to some organizations, including the Chamber of Commerce, some independent groups that they have, events, and I have talked to them about this. I know that Buchanan County is very proactive about looking after the health and the safety of their community, especially Independence. I work very closely with people in Independence, so that's why I'm providing this presentation, and it is a requirement. So the second aspect of the work that we are doing in the community, so you know, some of you that know me, you probably have heard of me as a tobacco lady, because I started working mostly on tobacco, and what we are working on also on behalf of the Iowa Department of Public Health is trying to improve the health and the air quality of Iowans by preventing the use of tobacco and nicotine products in the community, especially public events. Realizing now that with COVID-19, a lot of events have been canceled. The same goes for the alcohol policies. But when there is an event, oftentimes we take for granted that they are, smoke-free. We know that. We know what smoking can do to us. But all the other products should be included as well. As you know, vaping has caused a lot of problems for youth. And again, I'm focusing only on youth. I'm not focusing on adults right now. I'm just focusing on preventing the use of this item by youth. So when you have a policy that can help to improve the quality, the health and the air quality of Iowans in a public event, that can make a significant difference. So that's another part of it, another project that we are working on as part of our grant in Buchanan County. Do you have questions about this?
Anyone have any questions for Nora? You
Doesn't
must,
seem to.
you must have done a good job of explaining.
Okay. So like I said, Al has included a document which has the information that I just presented to you. I thank you for your time, and perhaps on another meeting later on, I can tell you a little bit more about what we've been accomplishing with those two projects. We I want to put this on your radar. The Buchanan County has a substance abuse prevention coalition. There are different members or sectors of the community, and we have identified some of these strategies so that we can move forward, improving the health of our youth. So I just want to put that on your radar. Al happens to be a member of the coalition. Deb also happens to be a member of the coalition. If you would like more information about the Substance Abuse Coalition in Buchanan County and the work that we are doing, I will be very happy to send that to you. So thank you so much for your time. And if you don't have any questions, then I can let you move on.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nora, for your talk.
Oh, and the chief, I forgot to mention the chief. I'm sorry. Chief Dallenbach. Oh, I finally pronounced it correctly. Now, the chief is also a part of the coalition, and from the schools, representatives from the school, the superintendent, and the three major schools in Buchanan County. So I don't want to leave their names behind. I want them to be registered in the minutes. So
Okay.
Thank you so much for allowing me to present to you today.
Thank you very much. Okay, next on the agenda is the Catalyst Grant pre-application.
I believe we have Lisa Kramer with Buchanan County Economic Development that's going to lead this presentation. Go ahead, Lisa.
Hi, so what we are hoping is that Independence would once again support a Catalyst grant for Kings Hall. If you're not familiar with Kings Hall, we have Nate and Shelley Whited, who are part owners of this building, along with the Higgins, Andy, and Tanya. I don't know if they are on, but what we are doing right now is completing the pre-application for the Catalyst grant for Kings Hall. Obviously, Kings Hall is a very important building within our community. It has been, whenever we talk about Independence, it's one of the forefront buildings that we think of. It has such a presence, and the fact that it used to be hall for the Opera Hall, and it just still has such an incredible presence within the community. So the pre-application is something that we, like I said, we are working on now, and that application, when we do the final application, will be from the city. And right now, what we're looking for is to see if we can get support from the city for part of the matching grant for this pre-application.
It would be important to point out, this is the pre-application, this is the first step. We do not finalize anything here, it's just making sure the council's on board with the application going in, the pre-application, to see if it ranks well across the state with all the other applications. We did this with the Lightsey building. It's a $100,000 match of cash or in kind, and the owners of the building are also putting in dollar for dollar match. Actually, they're putting in more than just the grant and the city's portion. I think their total budget was about $250,000 as a preliminary budget, to give you an idea of where they're going with the first floor project. And this is primarily the facade, exterior, and first floor renovations, if I'm not mistaken. There's some HVAC and electrical work that will affect the entire building, but most of it is internal and first floor.
I would say this is Bill. I would say I think we should move ahead with it. It's a main fixture of our downtown, and we've got some, I'll say younger people, at least younger than me. I'm glad to see them willing to undertake this project, and I think we should go ahead with it.
What can we do for in-kindness on that?
Well, the most obvious one right now is if we have dedicated parking. We could look at building permits as another form of in-kind, but those are really the only two that jump out at us right now for an in-kind service.
Is there intent to put apartments up there?
With this project, the size of the project is so large. The building is such a large building, and the fact that what is going in on the first floor, they are looking at having not one but two retail businesses on that first floor. So with the outer parts, with what needs to be done on just the first floor alone, at this time, that is all they're looking at. But, and Nate and Shelley can probably speak more to this than I can, but it's such a large encompassing project that is a huge enough fight on that as it is. And looking at just, if you see changes on the outside of the building and that first floor, that alone is going to be a catalyst for the community. I would think and hope to make changes down the line throughout Main Street.
I believe the folks from Iowa Economic Development Authority. It's really critical at this point to get that started because it is such a visually prominent place, and especially right across from City Hall, that I think everybody would be very supportive of that.
And one thing to remember about the Catalyst Grant, if the city does decide to go forward, and the application is made, we will find out in June, sometime in June, if it is accepted. And that is when they are able to start really moving ahead with their progress and making the changes and doing the renovations.
Al, this is a question for you. This would be one of those that we have to pay the money after the fact, after it's complete with the grant.
Correct.
And then,
That's correct. The way we set up the development agreement on the last project is at the end of, or when they cross that 50% threshold, we can make a partial payment once they demonstrate that they've put the money in, and we make the second payment after they've completed the project, and they have 2 years to complete the work.
So this could, we could fund this through 2 budget cycles?
Theoretically, yes, depending on how fast they do the work. They don't have to use 2 years, but they have up to 2 years to complete the work.
Okay.
Iowa Economic Development Authority has toured the facility, and their recommendation was to break it into these bite-sized pieces to complete the project because the building is so large. So we do have their concurrence with the way that this is being approached by the owners.
I think this would be a great project, or it is a good project for our community. I look forward to seeing how it ends up.
Would you support that with a motion and a second?
I will motion that we support that.
Second.
And that's 50,000 for the city, right?
I didn't hear that.
I didn't catch that, Deb.
That is 50,000 for the city's share, right?
That's 100,000 from the city.
100?
Yes.
How much do they asking for the grant?
It's a $100,000 grant, $100,000 from the city, and right now 50,000 from the owners in addition to their in-kind, in other words, their sweat equity or labor.
And that budget is probably going to change.
Why it's not working.
Can I interject briefly?
Who's
This is
talking?
Nate Whited.
Okay, Nate,
This is Nate Whited.
okay.
I just want to back up to something that Al said earlier. That is in payment or in kind. So we've got $100,000 from the city, 100 from the state, but the city's portion can be in kind. So if we requested the city's help to access a storm sewer, that would be counted against the city's contribution. If we used somebody from the street department or some input from the street department or the water department or whatever, that would be considered in kind, and that would go on towards that $100,000 commitment. So it's not, when we say $100,000, it's not, you're not just writing us a check at the end of a certain spot. And we'll have, and I think we'll, at that point, we'll have, well over that investment of our own as well. Well over. I know we will. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. I have a question, Lisa. So this is a pre-application. What kind of deadlines or dates do we have for these different steps that we go through?
The pre-application is due at the end of January, so within the next 2 weeks.
Okay,
And then the final application is due April, I believe it's April 14th or 15th. And then we'll have, when we get to the final applications, we'll have to make sure we have a little more solid footing on, as far as the dollar amounts put in.
okay. And then they won't
But
know,
that's the time to kind of figure that out.
and then we won't get results of whether it's approved or not all until June?
And,
One thing I think we need to remember on all of this discussion is, back when they were working on the Lightsey building, we found out real fast that if you don't go with at least $100,000 for your grant request, it won't get considered. I think, Deb, you were involved in some of those meetings where we found out that if it's not $100,000, they're not going to get anything.
no.
So
No, that's been
just wanted to
made,
clear that up.
that has been made pretty clear by the Department of Economic Development. They need to see that, they need to see that the city is fully behind this grant to be able to do, pass it.
And this is a good project.
Yeah. And I believe, Mayor Davis, you asked about when the funds when they would be able to start. Was that your question, Mayor Davis?
Well, I think you said something about that we wouldn't know the results until June as to whether it did get approved or not.
That is correct.
Okay,
We won't know until June. They don't have a specific date, but once that it is approved, which we're gonna say it'll be approved, they can, those owners of that building can start right off the bat and start running with it.
Okay. Very good, thank you. Is there any other discussion or questions before we take a vote? Do you need a roll call on this at all?
I didn't have it as
Okay.
motion or.
So we do have a motion and a second to approve, to support this catalyst grant. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Oppose the same? Motion is carried. Thank you very much for presenting this, Lisa, and thanks, Whiteds, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you investing in the community.
Yes. Okay, moving on to hearings and ordinances. Need a motion to approve for the third and final passage for adoption pursuant to Iowa Code Section 380.3 in regards to Chapter 75 ATV.
So moved.
Okay, Jen, did you make the motion?
Yes.
Yes.
I think Kurt's second.
Correct.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes?
Bill?
Bob?
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
No.
Hannah,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing in regards to stormwater utility ordinance.
So moved.
Okay, I gotta get this on here so I get this in the right order. Did I hear a second on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved, Jarv. Second, O'Loughlin.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are now in public hearing in regards to the stormwater utility ordinance.
Mayor, I received a request from Mark Nielsen to address the council on this issue, and I see Mark is here.
Okay?
So, Mark, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to speak in favor of the ordinance. I've been at the Creamer for 40 years, and we've had that water problem on 10th Street the whole time, and it's obvious that we need money to fix it, and I think this is a good way to approach it. I'd much prefer this rather than property taxes. I mean, we all realize it's got to cost something to do it, so that's basically how we feel about it.
Okay, thank you. Is there,
This is Kurt. I appreciate Mark's comments on that because I'm sure there's a lot of the industrial users that are going to maybe push back on this a little bit because they're the ones that are going to probably be hit the hardest on it. But we have got such a tremendous opportunity to fix stormwater issues in this community that somehow we have to come up with funds to do it. We can't keep taking it out of our general fund.
And this is O'Loughlin. This is
wait,
O'Loughlin. I'd like to.
wait until we see. Did John finish his thought before you interrupt? John, are you done with your comments?
I just want to say, in addition to the problems that we've got with us doing the reconstruction on Highway 150, all of the infrastructure underneath the road is still our responsibility. and that's gonna cost a tremendous amount of money for us. And had we put this in place a few years ago, we would have had some funds set aside to help with that. And this is looking forward, and I think it's something that really will benefit the citizens of the community. And with that, that's my comments, and Mike, go ahead.
Thank you. Mike, go ahead.
Yes. Just to put some perspective on this, when we did the 17th Street project out by Farm Fleet and Dollar Tree, the pipe just across the road, from one intersection by Simon Fairley's across to in front of the entrance to Farm Fleet, it was $60,000 just for the piping. So that gives you an idea of how expensive these projects are, but also how necessary they are. St. Charlie's, for example, at one time was flooded with an inch or so of water in their showroom and in their work area. So it's vital that we take care of our customers and take care of our citizens. And this is the most productive way to do it and the most cost effective. Every dollar that goes into this can be designated for those projects and accounted for. So I'd like to see this project move forward.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any comments they'd like to share?
Mayor, this is Bob.
Okay,
I'd like to make a couple of comments.
yes, go.
First of all, I did receive a couple of phone calls from people that had some questions about this. The primary questions that I heard were, why don't we get grants instead of putting this fee in place? And I think all of us on the council realize that with particularly the last 9 months, the grants have dried up. There's just not many grants to be had. Second thing, even when the federal government, state government, or a grant is involved in any project, there's always usually a requirement of something by the city. So that even if we do get money, we're usually putting money into it. The other items that I pointed out to them are, this would be an enterprise fund, just like the sewer and water, where this $4 per residential property per month cannot be used for anything except stormwater expansion, repair, so that this $4 per household is not going to go any place to in the general budget. The other thing that I pointed out, and I think Mike pointed this out also, and John did, currently whenever we do stormwater utility projects, the only money we have to use is out of the general budget. And that also goes for servicing debt for these stormwater utility projects, so that this creates a fund that can be used for debt service on those projects. Now, the final thing, and then I'll quit on this is a set fee. And somebody said, well, why don't you just use property taxes for this? The problem comes in with property taxes. It's not necessarily our levies that keep going up. It is the value of the property tax going up. So if I own a home in this community, I know that I'm going to have $4 going to this, just like I have X number of dollars going for the leaf dump. We all know we want the leaf dump, but it's a set fee. You know that if your house gets an additional evaluation put on it, you're not going to pay more money to the leaf dump fund. With setting this at $4, the only way that changes is for us to go through this whole process again. And at this point, we have studied, and $4 per residential and whatever the formula is for non-residential should be enough to help for these projects. Mark Nielsen brought up, and I worked at the creamery for 30 years. Some days I looked out the window and wondered if the floodwaters on 10th Street Northeast would be going into my car parked in front of the building. Why? Because we've got undersized piping. We've got that all over town. It's one of those things that cities have not considered considered until they grow. And the problem is, the more roofs you have, the more concrete you have, the more problems you have with what to do with the water that comes off of those areas. If the county fair board builds a building on that area where they use for parking now for county fairs, that's a major holding area for runoff water. If a structure goes in there, we're going to have some problems on where does that runoff water go when some impervious surfaces get put in. So I had brought this up. I think Al and I went to a workshop, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Al?
Yes.
And that's where this whole idea has come from. There are a lot of communities, Cedar Rapids, Ames, and there's a whole list of communities that use this because suddenly stormwater runoff is becoming a problem. It was not something that was considered, but the more you build, the more you expand. I think Mike brought up Cy and Charlie. The more construction that goes up to the south, the more water that's going to run north to the river out in that area. So we need the funding. It's something that we've never considered before, but it's becoming more and more prevalent that something needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, you mentioned, Bob, it's going to be $4 per single family household. I'd like to see us lock that in for at least 2 to 3 years and next year raise this.
I'm not hearing
Oh,
anything.
Bob's muted. There.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't, did you say just set it for 4 years?
To lock it in for at least a couple of years. We got the COVID going on and everybody's strapped for money. So let's lock it in for a couple of years.
Well, I think the feeling on it is this will be locked in until the city council would take it away. We've got, I think.
Well, it's annually. In the reading, it's annually, we can raise it up.
Oh, you're saying that if we need more than $4. Is that what I'm saying?
We lock that $4 in for 2 or 3 years.
This is Kurt. I can understand Deb's point, and I don't have a problem with locking it in for a 3-year period, especially on this initial push. And then we can see where we're at and how our fund balance is. I don't want to see it escalate and keep going up all the time, but on the other hand, we need to make sure we set this high enough that we do generate some funds, that we have something to work with. I'm going to go back to the infrastructure thing. When I first ran for council, that was my number one priority, was trying to fix the infrastructure in the city, between streets and everything that's underneath them. Nobody thinks about what's underneath these streets until we have a problem. And you go up into the northeast up here where we've had all these severe water main breaks, that puts a tremendous pressure on our water fund. And we have the same issue with stormwater, and we've got to get something done about it so that we have some funds to work with when we have these issues that have been neglected for the last 100 years. So locking it in for 3 years is not a problem with me if we want to put that into it and go from there. Let's see how we do.
I would just point out that this is enacted by the council and can be amended by the council. So if you set it in at 4 years, it's not going to change unless or until the council changes it. If you lock it in for 3 years, the council could decide to unlock it in a year. So effectively, it's no different whether you just enact it with the fee until changed, or if you try to lock it in for a period, because there's nothing making it so the council can't go back and change it. It's effectively locked in until you change it.
Thank you, Steve.
In case anybody didn't know, that was the city attorney just speaking. Okay. I think everybody's had a
Well, maybe
chance.
the citizens could see it would be locked in for 3 years. And if we went back and redone it, they would know that was the reason.
But what Steve is saying, that it makes no difference because the council could change that lock-in to add that
In
to
my
it.
mind, so. Also, we had an offer of, a citizen giving us money for, 11th Street Northeast. As far as I know, we've never acted on that, and that was for stormwater.
Say that again, Deb. Broke up. I couldn't understand what you said.
In a public works meeting, we had a guy on 11th Street, a business guy, offering to give us money to do some storm, done a thing to act on that. We turned the money away.
I
Excuse?
remember what Deb's talking about.
I don't.
I think part of the problem with when that was brought up was that if we could use private money, I think the problem we still have is we've got projects all over the city, but I agree that would have been something that we should have followed a little more, but again, once we get into these projects, if that individual had a certain dollar amount and we needed more money for the project, right now we just don't have the money for it. So I understand what you're saying, Deb.
I think this is a good investment in the future infrastructure of our community, because we're hoping to continue to grow, and the more we grow, the more issues we're going to have, and we're going to have to replace some of the older infrastructure, like John said, and I think it's just a good investment in our community, and it's frankly, like Mark said, the fairest way to do it instead of imposing a tax.
Okay, I don't think I've heard anything from Scharf or Callahan. Do either one of you have any comments before I close the public hearing?
I don't, but I go back to what I just heard, and about a private party emphasizing they would give money, and we didn't respond, take it, or we turned it away or turned it down. I don't know. I wasn't at the meeting, but I'm sad to hear that.
Well, and that has nothing to do with actually trying to approve this ordinance, so it's included in it, but
makes
it's,
a lot less money.
I'm just saying we need to, what we're trying to do is discuss whether we're approving this ordinance.
Okay,
So
understand. I just had a comment.
Yes, okay, and I appreciate that, thank you. Jen, did you have anything had anything you wanted to say?
I think, thinking ahead, we want our city to grow, and we need to be able to expand and be able to fix things as we need them. So I think it's a good way to support our community and have money in the bank. It's fair and equitable.
Okay. Then I'm going to ask for a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
Kurt, so moved.
Lachlan, second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same. Motion is carried. We are out of the public hearing. Now I'm
Thank Mark.
I'm sorry?
I was thanking Mark for his comments.
Okay.
You're welcome, and I know, Bob, just one quick thing, which is probably too late, but I know Bob mentioned the fairgrounds, and there's some thought about how we get them to contribute if they add to the system. I know that's being looked at, but that's all I've got. Thank you for your
Okay.
time.
All righty. Now I need a motion to consider adopting the ordinance for the first time.
Kurt, so moved.
Second.
Are we
Okay?
going to change any language?
No.
At this point, I think just leave it the way it is.
This is for the first hearing or first time. If for some reason somebody wants to change it for the second reading, you can do it then. As of tonight, the
I want to
motion,
change it now.
As of tonight, the motion is to adopt the ordinance for the first time as is. I have a motion and a second on the table, and I am asking for a
Oh.
roll call.
Mayor, just a minute.
Mayor,
What?
Deb can amend my motion if she wants to, and we just deal with the amendment before we vote on the motion.
But you have two other opportunities to do that, so rather than dragging this out any longer and debating on that part of it,
Well, she does have the opportunity,
Tonight.
she does have the option of offering an amendment if the council wants to consider it.
do we not have to vote the first one?
She can offer the amendment.
And Bob, you made the original? I thought I heard John's voice. You made the original approval of the ordinance?
I think we talked over each other.
Okay.
I will amend my motion to adopt it for a 3-year period.
Okay, and Jen, I think, had the second on that?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay. Now, do we know what we're motioning, the motion is, and what, so I can call for a roll call? Everybody understand what the motion is?
I do have a question on this. By locking it in for 3 years doesn't mean that it automatically goes away after 3 years. Am I
No.
understanding that right?
That would be correct. It's locked in at that rate, but as Steve explained earlier, council, we have the option of changing it, but for the language of the ordinance, we're going to lock it in for 3 years.
And that makes citizens comfortable that for 3 years, it'll be $4, at least for this council.
Right.
Is that what you're looking at, Deb?
Hopefully.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Steve, is there anything you need to have for any clarification, the city attorney, or are we okay to take a roll call
I
on
can draft
this?
language to that effect. I just want everyone to know that locking it in is not locking it in. As long as you all understand that, then we're good to go, and I can make some language.
Okay. I would like a roll call, please.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
No.
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
And we'll see that change before the second reading then, in writing.
That's what you're voting on
Yeah,
right
I'll put it
now.
on the next draft that goes around.
Thank you. Yes.
Callahan,
Yes,
Thank you. Motion has carried. Next on the agenda, rezoning application. I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing.
So moved. O'Loughlin?
Kurt, second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved, Sharp. Second, O'Loughlin.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to hold the public hearing. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. We are now in public hearing in regards to rezoning application.
We have received no comments at City Hall regards to this rezoning.
This is Hill. I think this is the rezoning committee has approved this, haven't they, Al?
Planning and zoning has recommended approval of this rezoning, yes.
And this is basically in a non-residential area, and it brings in a major retail business. It seems like it makes sense to rezone this property.
For those that are listening, this is rezoning the property north of 3 Elms Boulevard on the east side of Highway 150. Currently, it's zoned agricultural, and it would be rezoned to C2, which is a commercial, highway commercial in that area.
And this is for the proposed Dollar Fresh that Heidi's wanting to put in.
That's correct. Estimated 27,000 square foot facility, I believe, is the proposal.
And more stormwater challenges.
Closer to the river.
Oh, John.
Almost directly, border the river to some degree. Are there any other comments or for this discussion while we're in public hearing?
Al, this is Todd Sheritz.
Yes.
I just want to clarify, this was an R2. It was owned by the church before, and it'll go from an R2 to a C2 to allow for that building to be taking place. So.
Sorry, thank you for that clarification.
Any other discussion? And I ask for a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved, Sharp.
Second, Kurtz.
Thank you. I have a motion and second to close the hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. We are out of public hearing. Now I need a motion to consider adopting the ordinance for the first time.
So moved, Sharp.
Callahan and Sharp.
Callahan and Scharf, okay. I need a roll call for that, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried.
I have a question here, Al.
Yes.
I see that there's an option for going to the third, doing away with the second here. Are they wanting to start construction here yet this winter?
I was going to bring up, they have filed an official request that you consider it on third reading. They've asked you to waive the second, go to the third. So I would have to ask you to consider that based on their request.
I'd make that motion.
Second, Callahan.
Thank you. So I have a motion and a second to waive the requirement of 3 considerations of this ordinance prior to final passage and have this measure placed on its final passage for adoption pursuant to Iowa Code Section 380.3.
This will require a supermajority to approve it.
So I do have a motion and a second. It'll require a supermajority. May I have a roll call, please?
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
No.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried for the third and final reading. Okay, we're down to resolutions. First one being a motion to approve a resolution for a depository designating it to be for 2021 for Bank Iowa.
So moved. Second, O'Loughlin.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve a resolution designating Bank Iowa for our 2021 city depository. Could I have a roll call, please?
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion for designation of our newspaper.
I'd like to make the motion that we renew designating both the Bulletin Journal and the News as our official newspapers.
Sharp, I second that.
I got one question about that. Is John Clutchball on tonight?
John,
John is here,
yes, he is, as well as Steve.
and Steve's on the phone.
Okay, with John, I just got a question to see if we can't get in the paper more timely. Some of our meetings have been 2 or 3 weeks since past we've had them, and by the time anybody gets it, it's really, really old news.
Do you want to respond to that at all?
What was the question?
Something about timely newspaper.
What was your question, Deb?
We get things in the paper in a more timely fashion. Some of our council meetings have been several weeks after we've had them, and it's way old news.
On some stuff, I think around the holidays, yes, I do get behind with other holiday stuff, but the minutes are published right away, you know, and what my stories are just kind of highlight some of the more, some of the aspects of it.
The minutes are in the legal part of the newspaper.
I've been late, so.
Yeah. No, I can certainly try to do better.
So the minutes are published in the newspaper on a timely manner, but when he has an article that responds to any of it or has any comments or anything else or pictures, that may not be as quick as what you're thinking.
Well, there was been issues with it. I had called the newspaper about it, so it's been known. Public knows when they read almost 2 of them in the same.
It's published in both of them at the same time, I mean, it may be in a different area of that particular newspaper.
Well, I know on some I know on some stories though I have to wait for other information too, that I want to be more thorough than just what is described in the meeting doesn't always have all the information I want to let the public know too. I've seen that in the past. It's not just a rote of the minutes. Sometimes my stories are a little bit more in depth or a little bit more, I have to wait for comments and such too.
Okay.
But I can certainly turn it around. I can't guarantee on a Monday night meeting that things will get in the paper on a Wednesday, but I can say that there have been things where I've been able to publish them on social media or on our website though, that, you know, before they hit the actual newspaper. Which is not part of your official designation.
The one meeting we had, it didn't make the Wednesday, and then it didn't even make the Saturday, and it made the following Monday. That's old news.
I agree. Sometimes we do get backed up with stories too.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Steve Smith wanted to make a comment. Steve, are you here?
Is he still
Yeah,
on?
I'm here, Al, thank you. I'm Steve Smith. My wife and I have owned the news serving Buchanan County and Independence for going on 16 years now. We're located at 115 First Street East in Independence and also in Winthrop. I wanted to thank you, Al, for the upgrades in the technology over the past 10 months. I want to thank the council and City Hall for making available these online meetings. As a senior citizen, I have been joining you on these meetings now for 10 months via the internet, and I sure appreciate it, and thank you for making that possible. I want to, just to Deb's point there, I also wanted to thank those council members, and I have made phone calls, I believe, to almost every single one of you following council meetings to flesh out stories. And I thank you all for your participation and your help in
helping me get the story that explains the business, which is the legal notices in the paper, right and out on time, and I appreciate your help on that. And with that said, I just wanted to take a moment to personally say thank you and say that we want to continue to serve the city and the city council in keeping the community informed of the business that you conduct here, and also in a timely fashion, letting the community know how you got to those decisions. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you, Steve. We appreciate all the work you and John both do.
Thanks, John.
thank you. Anything else you wanted to say? Okay.
If there's any other questions.
Other than Deb, was there any other questions for John Klutzball? Okay, I do have a motion and a second on the table for a resolution designating both Bulletin Journal and the News as the official papers for the city. I would ask for a roll call, please.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve setting of the annual mileage designation, and the federal went down, didn't you say?
Yes, the new IRS mileage reimbursement rate is currently at 56 cents a mile, down from, I believe it was 57.5 last year, so it has dipped.
So that's what we are accepting with this motion, 56 cents?
We are asking you to match the IRS rate, as
Okay.
we have in the past.
Do I hear a
Kurtz,
motion?
I make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Rodriguez, second.
Okay, thank you. So I have a motion and a second to approve the 56 cents as setting for the annual mileage redesignation. Roll call, please.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve resolution adopting the amended purchase agreement with Old Construction Incorporated for 216 6th Avenue Northwest.
Mr. Ohl has a interested third party in the possibility of renovating this facility. The current purchase agreement dictates that he will demolish the house that's on the property. He would like to have the option of looking into renovation, which will require the council modifying the purchase agreement, which is in front of you tonight.
Al, have we set up a timeline?
I don't believe the timeline has changed. It is simply a matter of changing the option that he has as to how he deals with the property.
Okay, thank you.
I think Mr. Sherritts is still on the line, or city attorney, just to double check that.
That's correct. It's 12 months from the date the deed's recorded until there's a habitable structure, whether it be the duplex as originally envisioned or a renovated historic type home as it sits there.
This is Kurt. It's a really beautiful old home, but it really needs a lot of repair. Somebody's gonna have to, it's gonna be a significant monetary investment to get that done. I don't know if 12 months will do it.
We also have in there the option of If the parties mutually agree, extending that time out. So if they were to do a significant, really thorough renovation and needed some more time and were making significant progress, and not just sitting on the property, the parties could come together and agree on an extension.
This is Todd. So John, in regards to that, the monetary, yes, we're looking at upwards to $300,000 to $350,000 for this renovation. Yeah, and I love that place. If someone's willing to do that, it's actually a person that wants to retire here in the next couple of years. So if it took a little longer to do that, I would be more than willing to, grant an extension. Ron, he's done a lot of work around town. I don't think he's going to drop the ball on that, especially with something like this. I would much rather see a renovated historic house than a duplex there. You're going to see a lot more. I mean, overall, I bet you your valuation is going to be close to $500,000 after all said and done.
I would fit in with the neighborhood a lot better if it's renovated than having new duplexes sitting in there.
Yeah.
My opinion.
And the reason we just didn't change that to allow for the renovation is if it falls through, we didn't want to have to come back to you all and change it back to the original plan again. So we're trying to give some flexibility there.
I'd make the motion that we accept the amended purchase agreement.
And a second.
Okay, I do have a motion and a second to approve resolution adopting the amended purchase agreement with Old Construction in regards to 216 6th Avenue Northwest. You don't want a roll call on this?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I didn't see it on here. Roll call, please.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next is a motion setting a date for public hearing of urban renewal plan amendment. Is that for next month, next
Yes.
meeting, or when?
This amends an existing urban renewal district in Pines. Well, what was Pines First Edition. This corrects a legal description error that was discovered, so this doesn't change anything other than legal description.
So is that for the 24th, 25th?
I'm
What?
double checking myself on the date. February 8th would be the public hearing date,
So it's not the next meeting, it's the following, February 8th at 6:30?
correct.
Okay. Do I hear a motion on that?
First, I make the motion.
Thank you.
Hill, second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to set the date for public hearing as February 8th at 6:30 for the urban renewal plan amendment. Do you need a roll call here? Okay, go for it.
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Under other business, first is a water billing agreement with Independence Light and Power Company. You need to fill in the blank for the motion too. Somebody.
This is the annual billing agreement with Independence Light and Power for our utility billing. The one thing that is not in here is meter reading. The meter reading is moving to the remote read modules. We anticipate that being completed by the time this takes effect July 1st. If there is any remote read meter reading required, it would be shown up on our in-kind services through IndyTel. Likewise, we have our annual meter reading for those that have a second meter for watering their lawns. That annual meter reading effort would also show up as in-kind services versus a billing agreement. You do have both the 2020 billing agreement and the 2021 billing agreement attached to the agenda, so you can see the difference. It does reflect a 2.5% wage increase in the billing agreement.
I would make a motion to approve it. This is Kurt.
Callahan, second.
Do you have all that? Okay. I have a motion and a second for approval. Roll call, please.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, I may need a motion to authorize the bid specification preparation for the city's sidewalk replacement programs and notices to be sent to property owners requiring replacement of deficient sidewalks throughout the community.
Is this for a specific ward or for the community at large?
This is the sidewalk replacement effort that we tabled last spring because of the pandemic. This is citywide.
Okay, that was my question.
Hill, I'll make the motion.
Kurt, second.
Scharf, second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve police officer certification reimbursement contract for the hiring of new officer. This is for Patrick Schaefer. I swore him in this afternoon. His wife and mom were here as witnesses, and this is the contract he will have.
Hill, I'll make the motion.
Callahan, second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to,
I think one thing for citizens to know here that we do have in here that if the officer doesn't stay for 3 years, there is a reimbursement clause, so it's not like if they leave right away, we're out of anything.
say it also guarantees 3 years for them to be on our police force within that, so.
Yes, that is correct.
Roll call, please.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is motion to authorize securing of competitive quotes for a storage building to be located at the wastewater treatment plant property.
This is in the fiscal '21 CIP. We have held off on it until this spring. And Travis has asked for permission to proceed with looking at the construction of the storage building.
do we have any idea of the general cost factor?
There is 60,000 built into the CIP. That was the best guess or estimate at the time. We have not proceeded with doing any further research until we have the council's blessing.
Would the council, once the bids are in, would the council still have the option to approve or disapprove?
Yes, it comes back to the council once we have those competitive bids because you have to award them.
Okay, thank you.
This is Curtis, I'd make the motion.
Hill, second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to authorize securing competitive quotes for a storage building to be located at the wastewater treatment plant property. Do you not want a roll call on this?
I can do one if you want.
If you would, please.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. We are down to reports. Since I have some department heads here tonight. Todd, did you have anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, you bet. I'll just give a little update on, so the street department, we've been going. I actually have our new foreman, that's Brad Ash. That's been going excellent. He's dealing with our day-to-day issues. We usually meet in the morning, figure out what we're going to be doing for either the day or the week, and he kind of takes it from there. I'm here for big picture items as well as all the paperwork and disciplinary actions that needs to be taken care of. As you've seen around town, we have basically all the piles cleaned up, and it's all over to the old wood duck. I would say we have roughly at least 100 dump truck loads of snow that goes over there. All known pushbacks, thanks to Chief Dallenbach and his guys. They got a bunch of these vehicles that weren't moved on our snow emergencies. We have gone to those areas and pushed those back after they've either been moved or towed. The guys are working on trees again. They're going to be working on those for a couple days. One of them that's been on the list for some time is over by the Lee Mansion. We got that taken care of. Two of us are going to be going to take our CDL test tomorrow. That's me and our new hire, Morgan. We're also going to be working on some safety training with the IMWCA, thanks to Chief Newton getting us in line with that. The two properties over by Pizza Hut, we're going through the 657A process on those. 30 days from today, Mr. Leidinger and I will be reassessing and pushing forward on that. We still have plenty of permits coming through. I've been getting words of, so the Dollar Fresh could be roughly a $4 to $5 million project. And the middle school, I think it's Western Middle School, I'm hearing anywhere from $4 to a $10 million project. I don't know exactly what's going on, but there's a bid letting right now. With the past snowfall, there's still a lot of people not doing their sidewalks, and I had to do roughly 40 placards, and this was after the long weekend. So if you know anybody, I mean, they might be out of town or something, if you can help out your neighbor, just do that. I hate to have them to go and put a red tag in their door, and a lot of these people, it's not because they're lazy. It could be, you know, your 80-year-old neighbor that has nobody else to help her. So, you know, be a good friend. And then we're also going to be working on some areas over by the old pool. So you guys heard about the truck that was lit on fire. I'm assuming you all heard about that. Well, what happened was some people were squatting around that area, so we're going to clean that up, try to make it safe, and so nobody else can get into that. It's the old pool pump house. So we're going to clean that up, kind of clear it out, so it's not an easy hangout for these kids. So other than that, if you guys had any questions for me, but I think so far everything is going very smooth on the transition into the street department as well as the building and code.
Thanks, Todd. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, guys.
I think I mentioned to you earlier that I thought your guys did a great job on the snow cleanup. And I know there were some citizens that had some issues with their trash cans gotten knocked over and mailboxes. If you could maybe address that one more time with people. And
Yeah, okay. So some people are thinking that we're hitting these with the blades. So when you have a 8-inch snowfall like that, you have to get that snow all the way off the road. So we ride the curbs to make sure that that snow is all the way to the edge of the road. Not only is that for future snowfalls, but we also had a good reason. Brian Crawford from Crawford Engineering explained it more scientifically as if you don't get that off the road, you have a different freeze thaw in, like on your curb and gutter area compared to the actual roadway. They will break down a lot faster if you don't get all that snow and ice off there right away. And so by getting that off completely, you're prolonging the life of your roads as well. But with these mailboxes, please give me a call. What we do is we reimburse. It'll be $25 per mailbox. I know it's not a huge amount, but that is up to you council members, but that's the way the policy has been written. But as of right now, what's happening is that large snowfall, you're pushing all of that, and it's just the snow that's hitting it. It's not the plows or anything. So don't think that they're trying to play a game by, knock down the most garbage cans. It's basically get that snow off the road to make it safe for everyone.
Well, I think something that citizens can really help the street department out, if we do have a major snow like that and it is garbage day the next day, wait till the snow plows have been by before you put your trash cans out, so they aren't getting knocked over in the early morning hours.
Yeah, that would definitely help.
Any other questions for Todd? Dustin, I think you're still on. Do you have anything to share other than your new officer?
I'd just like to thank everybody for approving this contract. As some of you may know, Pat, he's actually from Independence. His mother is Tammy Rasmussen. His stepfather is time ago, Doug Rasmussen, that used to be the police chief in Independence here. So does have law enforcement in his family, and I'm happy to have him on board with us. Seems like I don't know him too well. I just met him when he started testing for us, but seems like a well-rounded individual. And if he's from Independence, he'll know a lot, and hopefully he'll catch on real quick. I also want to say thank you. I know when we did our ATV ordinance, I appreciate everybody, or the votes and stuff, and passing that ordinance for us. I know Brian Prasader was on here every single council meeting, went to every meeting we had. I appreciate all his hard work and being there to assist us with this to make sure that we get the best possible stuff out there we can. As of that, I think that everybody seems to be doing well in our department, and we appreciate all your guys' support.
Thank you. Your new officer is very tall. I felt very short next to him today. So.
Yeah, I'm 6'1", and he's taller than I am, so yes, he is a tall individual.
Thank you. You have to start looking for shorter ones. Do you have anything for fire department you'd like to share with us? I don't know if that mic, is that mic any good?
I think it's one thing I'd like to, just to kind of give people to think about. Christmas season just got past, all the kids got new toys and stuff that take batteries. One thing we need to focus on is making sure we're storing the batteries properly and we're discarding them properly when they're used up. One problem is if you take a battery and you just throw it in the drawer, if it makes contact with something metal, it can start a fire. We've all probably seen videos where somebody will take a 9-volt battery and they'll push it up against some steel wool and it'll start a fire. Well, your AA's, AAA's, C's, and D's will do the same thing. They're just not as close together with the ends. I know of instructors that have going to do that demonstration with the steel wool, and they'll put the steel wool in one pocket, and they'll put the battery in the other pocket. The thing that they don't think about is in the pocket they put the batteries in, they've got keys in their pocket. Those contacts will make contact with the keys, and they'll burn themselves there too. So just keep in mind that if you do just toss the 9-volt batteries in the drawer, if it comes in contact with something metal, it will get hot. So I guess I just want to throw it out there, just to make sure that, a lot of the batteries, and especially the 9 volts, will come with the plastic covers on them. If they don't, you can always take black electrical tape and put over the ends. Still just something so that you prevent those from coming in contact with anything else,
So if the battery is dead, it still has enough voltage to cause a fire if it connects?
Probably not if it's dead, but keep in mind that if it may not work depending on what piece of equipment you're putting it in, it may not be enough to power that, but there'll still be enough juice in that battery that it may do something. I'll use it as an example. In our air packs for the fire department, we take AA batteries, 1.5 volts, right? Well, if that battery gets down below 1.3, our equipment won't work properly. So we switch them out at 1.3. Well, there's still quite a bit of juice left in that battery. So that's as an example that just because it won't run whatever you had it in, there may still be enough juice there that it could do something.
So the proper way to discard of a battery is?
Well, you should recycle the batteries. If they're dead, you should recycle them.
But where? You can't throw them in our recycle bins.
No.
Recycle them where?
One thing you can do is I know that, like at the recycling deal north of town, the home waste, they will take them, but they're only open during the summertime.
Okay.
But they'll take that stuff too.
So even if you put the batteries loose in a drawer and they come in contact, can they start a fire in that drawer if they
Yeah.
still have juice?
If it comes in contact with something metal. As an example, one of my survival things that I've seen and done videos, and I've done it, is you can take like the tinfoil wrapping around bubble gum or around gum, and you can take that, trim that down so that it's fairly narrow, and touch both ends of a AA battery, and that'll start on fire. You can use that as a fire starter.
Wow.
So it doesn't have to be steel wool. It doesn't have to be necessarily anything you would think that metal, but if it comes in contact with a conductive material, it can start a fire.
So can you do an
Can I
article
make
for
a
the
comment?
newspaper for that? So we can teach because I don't know a lot of this stuff, and I'm
Yep.
sure I'm not the only one in the city. So it might be nice to do an article to teach people how to
Yeah.
do this and give them ideas where to put it and that type of thing too. So I
Yeah.
appreciate
Might
that.
work out something, put a video out on Facebook. Who was it? Somebody had a
John,
comment.
did you have a question or comment?
I had a comment. I had a friend of mine several years ago that threw a 9-volt battery in the trash, and it came in contact with aluminum foil and set the trash can on fire.
Right. You may think it's dead, but it doesn't necessarily have to have a lot of voltage.
Wow.
So just if you're gonna throw it in the trash, which I'm not saying you should, take black electrical tape and wrap it up first so that those ends can't come in contact with something.
So when you have extra batteries you bottom up, as long as they're in the package they were bought in, are you okay? Or is there something?
More than
different?
likely. Same thing, you'll get the package of batteries where they're all lined in rows and stuff. Well, as you get down to the last one or two, they may not necessarily be separated like they originally were. So those two batteries could come in contact with each other. Those three batteries could come in contact with each other. If they're still in the original packaging, you're probably okay.
Okay,
But just make sure you're keeping an eye on it.
okay. Think about that for an article for the newspaper.
Yeah, we'll try to see if we
Unless you
come
have
up with
flyers
something.
to give out.
Well, it might be all kinds of fun doing a video and showing how you can start fires with batteries. But we got to be careful of that too. We don't want to give anybody any ideas.
No, we don't
either.
want to give kids ideas of what
So,
to try either,
Yeah,
so.
so it's just something people don't necessarily think about with batteries,
Yeah.
that they can be, you think it's just a simple battery, just toss in the drawer, it's good to go.
Yeah. very good information. Thank you very much for that.
Anybody else got any comments or anything, any questions they've got for me?
Council, any questions for fire department?
Yeah, Dad,
Yeah, go ahead.
question. I've had a few calls. Did we sell our old fire truck? And if so, to who and how much did we get?
Which old fire truck?
The one we had for sale.
Oh, the old engine 3. I know that we worked through with Rydell and they sold it for us, and I'm not sure who it was that bought it. And I don't want to just throw a price out there of exactly how much we got for it either. I don't remember. Do you recall right offhand, Al?
I believe we had a $4,000 check that we received for that.
Well, I think that was what the minimum that the council said they wanted to do was 4,000, and I think that's what they ended up getting out of it.
Right.
Okay, correct. Thank you.
Yep. But
Anyone
I don't
else?
remember where it went to.
I don't,
Thank you very much.
Okay, anybody else?
Any other department heads around that I don't see or know that I'm missing?
not that I see.
Huh?
Not that I see.
Okay. Council members, do you have any comments you would like to give? Don't everybody speak at once. Hearing none. Anything from clerk's office? City manager?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Okay. I did ask John Kurtz to, I did get all 7 of the city manager's evaluations in. I have them in my office. I asked John Kurtz, and he willingly accepted to take lead on the committee that will go through all of those and tally them and everything. And then Juan and Jen both are going to be on that committee. They can schedule whatever they need. I'll get, John, just let me know when you want those forms and such. We do have to have the total by the policy finished and the results here at City Hall at least 3 days before next council meeting where we'll be addressing that. So if anybody wanted to see it, they would be able to come here, or any council member would be able to do that, not the citizens. So I don't know if anybody has any questions on that, and I do thank you 3 for stepping up and agreeing to do that for me. I appreciate it. Bob actually gets a break this time. So.
Mr. John, I'll get a hold of Juan and Jen, and we'll set up some time to get together.
Okay, and just let me know when you got it, and I'll let you know where the forms are at for you. Okay? Thank you. If nobody else has any other comments to say, then I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Sharp, so moved.
Second on Lockland.
Thank you. Motion is second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, and we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Have a good night. Mark, did, oh. Okay.